split como um rookie, como alguém que tá no seu primeiro momento no Tier 1, foi bem difícil, né? A gente ficou em último no primeiro split.
I do think there's like a lot of diamonds in the rough. In our team we have quite a bit of them. I'm trying to make sure that I can help them shine. When the games that actually matter come in, you have to fully trust your teammates. And I would say that I can easily believe in them.
Quero fazer história pro Brasil e carregar o sonho de todo mundo que tá nesse time comigo. Já cheguei aqui, então eu quero ser o campeão de toda a LTA.
It's definitely very hard to stay on the top consistently and win back to back to back. If you don't get punished, you just can get too cocky.
The biggest challenge was always the day-to-day, to make sure I see the importance in every single scrim, every single day, so then we can actually reach those higher peaks.
We as FlyQuest definitely have target on our back. Everyone wants to see us lose. At this point, I think we just want too much, so it would be very entertaining for people to see our downfall, but we're not gonna lose.
North against South, everything we will decide it today!
Let's meet the teams! At AD Carry, your first team All-Pro in his 5th finals appearance in 2 years, Macho!
Carregando o legado de atiradores lendários do nosso cenário, a estrela e ascensão Mordeus!
Support your first team All-Pro and top 3 candidate for Player of the Year, Lucio!
O homem de gelo que teve seu coração incendiado pela paixão brasileira, o senhor incrível Thieves!
In the mid lane, the second team All-Pro mid laner, chasing its 4th title in 2 years, Quad!
Na rota do meio, o homem que transformou a Keyd e os trouxe para o caminho da glória, o mitológico Mirão!
In the top lane, the wide man enters Texas, Buipo!
Pela rota do topo, após uma pausa, ele retorna em busca da glória e da história.
And the substitute top laner, when they needed him the most, he rose to the occasion. Got goals! And in the jungle, first team All-Pro, the best in the West, and the LTA Player of the Year, it's Fire!
Na selva, o gênio, o homem que supera todos os limites e remove barreiras em seu caminho, até mesmo sua camisa de Samis!
Dallas! Give it up one more time for your grand finalist, FlyQuest!
E façam barulho pra Vivo Keyd Stars!
Levar o título seria algo que mudaria completamente a nossa perspectiva como região, seria completamente histórico. Desde a derrota para FlyQuest, isso vem pesando bastante na minha cabeça, de tipo assim, caramba, eu preciso fazer isso acontecer, eu preciso mostrar pra galera que ainda tem esperança.
A luta vai consequentemente seguindo, e lá atrás o Morteu tá livre pra bater, já levou o primeiro, vai levar o segundo, Morteu dele, Morteu dele, Morteu dele, na sequência, Morteu!
Vivo Keyd is still a wild card to me. Coming into the first series against us, they looked very nervous. They realized that it's not us free here.
Inspired all over the map.
Estando nesse estádio aqui, eu tô fora de casa. Cara, lá no Brasil a torcida ela é muito fervorosa, a galera tá sempre presente. Então, estando aqui eu acho que vai ser muito mais leve, eu sinto que a vibe é diferente. Eu entendo que sim, a maioria tá torcendo contra a gente e isso vai dar um gás legal pra mostrar o nosso valor também.
And so far I have 100% win ratio in Texas. I've never lost a map yet, so I'm gonna make sure to keep that.
O primeiro campeão da LTA sai daqui, então eu tenho certeza que todo mundo no nosso time entende o peso que isso tem. Esse é o momento mais importante do ano. A gente veio pela Upper por um motivo, que a gente ainda tem muito jogo pra mostrar e pode vencer esses caras.
Beleza, que beleza! O Brasil vai dando aulas em Summoner's Rift. Já caiu o primeiro, vai cair o segundo, agora sim! É pra final, é pra fechar, é do Brasil! É a história sendo feita, o Brasil chegou!
We already managed to win back-to-back this year. If we don't win here in Texas, it will feel like all that kind of going to waste.
And welcome to Dallas, Texas, and the LTA Championship Finals. I'm Captain Flowers, joined by Kobe and Jack to bring you this best of 5 between FlyQuest and Vivo Keyd Stars to find our first ever LTA champions.
Super excited for this one, Flowers. VKS upsetting 100 Thieves yesterday. Definitely added some spice to this rematch since FlyQuest did 3-0 VKS last time they played, but since then, VKS definitely leveling up.
There's been a lot of tension building with the North versus the South because we've already seen Red Canids knock out Shopify Rebellion. We've watched Keyd knock out 100 Thieves, but FlyQuest has knocked out everybody this year. We saw in terms of best of 5s domestically, they've only lost 2 in the last 2 years, and that was both the Team Liquid last year. So FlyQuest definitely coming in here as a strong favorite.
And we do see already some adaptations from them as well. Last time around, the first game, VKS banned out the Rumble, Pantheon, and Wukong, which I do think is correct to focus a lot of the high priority jungle picks versus Inspired. But here they're already adapting. They're going with the Orianna. So now you're either going to leave up that Rumble from last time. Maybe you're not as worried about it now that Whippo is in, but they do alter for the Azir, which was first picked by FlyQuest last time around.
Yeah, so 2 bans different here by VKS. Wukong is the power pick that isn't banned that might be picked here first for Inspired with everything available. I see it first picked in a lot of these series that we've seen so far in the LTA Playoffs.
I do think it is the best jungler on the patch. The team fighting on this champion is just so insane. And so that being the change that VKS made, they're expecting this first pick. Let's see what they want to trade for it.
All right, first 3 bans for FlyQuest. Yone, Nico, and Aurora on the VKS side. Azir, Orianna, and Pantheon, as you've already discussed. Inspired, locking in that Wukong for the player of the year. And VKS will pick up the Rumble for Boal.
Rumble makes a lot of sense. It's a big power pick. It's just a question of what they pair with it. They actually just go with the jungle matchup, even though they could have saved that for 3rd pick. So they're probably hoping they get some type of mid lane counter pick if Quad ends up picking his mid laner here in the next 2.
And this is a classic combination. The spicy hot pot, the Cataclysm from Jarvan, the ultimate from Rumble, down over the top. And Jarvan is also a preferred option into Wukong. So I think that is a well planned out early trade here from VKS, but on the same side, FlyQuest would be very happy to get something like a Wukong Annie. This combo became so popular because it dissuades you from building Merc Treads. Even though there is the Annie in mid lane, this burst combo is just so good for AoE.
Classic FlyQuest best of 5 Annie as well. This time we got quad playing it. We've inspired. We'll see if it goes a little bit better.
You're going back to the Jensen days?
I'm going deep cut. But I'll also say this, to me, was one of Miru's best champions. When VKS wants to be coordinated, Miru was so good at playing mid jungle with him and Desamus. So FlyQuest denying this in game 1 and taking the Wukong Annie for themselves, I like as a strategy.
Yeah, it is a good point. You know, the Annie and the Galio, some of the really good setup picks that they had played there for mid lane. But let's see about the Alistar lock-in. This thing has been super highly prioritized as well. And Brucio is just going to add more onto this Wombo combo. Anytime we have seen drafts start out with Wukong Annie, you know exactly the direction this thing is going.
Yeah.
It's going for that big burst engage going forward.
And no surprise that they lock in the Galio. Orianna would have been the other option because it can outrange the Annie, but with that already being banned away, going with the tankier option in lane, once he gets a little bit of durability, he can really start bullying the Annie, so Quad's going to be on a timer.
Exactly, and it fills the role that we were just talking about for Miru to be the setup in mid lane. We were talking about the Annie and the Galio, so he goes with the Galio option here, having Annie already been taken away. It can set up for Jarvan ganks very effectively. Jarvan and Galio, base damages are enough to take down Annie, so you can go with some early ganks towards an Annie, burn the flash, and take away some of the threat of this champion.
Yeah, Jarvan can help Galio, but Galio can also help Jarvan. You're talking about the spicy hot pot. Here's the spoon to stir it up, coming down over the top. This combo from VKS is vicious if it lands.
And looking at the phase 2 bans as well, because the roles that are locked in so far are not the same, you can see VKS with the Scion ban are trying to target Whippo's champions. He has one of the widest champion pools, and it's one of the biggest differences compared to the last time these two teams played. Whippo was on suspension from the team in their last best of 5, where Gakkos played all 3 games and ended up playing Aurelia in the first game. So I'm expecting a completely different look here from FlyQuest. And the Scion, I think, is one of Whippo's better champions, especially to have a lot of durability against the Rumble early in the game.
Not just having that durability, and not just that it's one of his best, but it's so good for blind picking. Since you're on the side of FlyQuest with blue, you know that you probably are going to get counterpicked there in the top lane, so eliminating those good blind picks feels really good. The Mbessa going to be the last ban of the draft here for VKS. Double top lane bans for them. FlyQuest has removed the Rakan to get rid of more of that powerful initiation capability to go with this big Wombo combo potential of VKS, and I'm curious if they're going to double up on another support ban, because honestly, there are still a lot of engaged supports available.
Yeah, and them having Alistar early does kind of dissuade some of those options, like the Rel. You would normally think, ooh, Rel would work really nice with all this, you know, AoE that they have, but the Alistar is quite good into the Rel, so they don't have to worry about that one, and they go with one that has some defensive options here to the Bard, which Trimby definitely has shown that he likes to pick. He had some whoopsies in the previous time that he played Bard, and gave Bucio some magical journeys as a little bit of a favor, but maybe this pushes him more towards like a Nautilus or something.
I mean,
for him, for Trimby. Meanwhile, if you're looking at the blind picks available to Whippo, I mean, Renekton is the highest priority, like most obvious answer now that the Mbessa and Scion are gone.
But I'll say with the Rumble, if you're looking at more of the traditional lane matchups, they could still go for the Ornn, which wasn't banned. I'd say I like the Bard ban by FlyQuest because that leaves it available for Bucio in future games as well, and that Poppy is likely a fringe support there for Trimby.
Yeah, I was totally trolling earlier. I forgot that Rumble had even been locked in. I'm so used to seeing him banned away. But obviously that's being the top lane matchup here that Whippo is going to be picking into. Corki, the AD carry, picked alongside the Alistar here for the bottom lane duo of FlyQuest. And now we have to see, what is this final pick of the draft? What is Whippo's answer into the Rumble here to try to shut that powerful team fighter down?
I think Ornn would be the standard, but we know it's Whippo, so he can go Cassante. He could even pull for a Gragas if he really wanted to, if the lane would be really hard against the Rumble. So we'll see what type of comfort he goes for, and it's actually just the Cassante locked in to have a little bit more 1v1 power in the side lanes later.
All right, Morteos, what is it going to be down here with so much heavy engage facing him in the hands of FlyQuest? What is he going to pick here to try and stay a little bit safe? You know, there are like Jhin options available to him
Varus
at
Jhin
the
is
moment.
still up, but I wonder if they think they have enough damage or not. Jarvan, Rumble, Galio could be a little low, and they have a lot of engage. So he had such a pop-off Kai'Sa game in game 1 yesterday. Throwing that in here, even if it's not a perfect traditional Kai'Sa comp in the lane, could be a little difficult. They're hoping he pops off in team fights.
A lot of dive potential on their side too. Definitely a lot of flexibility here. So game number 1. Drafts are done here, and it feels pretty good on both sides. Both of them have very clear ways to play the game out.
Well, with that said, if both teams got what they wanted, I'll change the question that I normally ask then. Instead of who do you think won the draft, I'll ask both of you gentlemen, which side would you rather be playing from here?
Well, that's a great question. I like the straightforward nature of any team compositions because the snap engage, I think, is stronger than anyone else's snap engage. If I look at VKS, maybe they can get a nice wall stun, but everything else is a little bit less reliable because it's dodgeable or has to be conditional. So I like the straightforward nature of FlyQuest team comp.
Yeah, I think I do prefer their side as well. Maybe we have some bias leaking in here, chat, for both of us.
The nice thing about predicting drafts in FlyQuest is 80% of the time they win the game no matter what. So you can just say that you like their draft better and you're going to be right 4 to 5 times.
Well, we're about ready to get into the rift and see who's going to emerge victorious here in this first one. FlyQuest's heavy favorites in this one after their upper bracket final was already a 3-0, but VKS came out swinging yesterday, and we're going to see if they have what it takes to bring it to FlyQuest here in the arena in Dallas today.
And I will say, Flowers, if you allow me a small caveat,
okay,
a lot of determining the value here of the draft depends on how good is Trimby going to execute with the Poppy, because Poppy value is something that varies widely depending if you can get the counters on the engages for Wukong and Alistar. If you can get a really valuable Poppy ultimate that ejects multiple people at a team fight, then that thing could just win you objectives by itself, or win you team fights by itself if it's allowed to stuff some of the engages.
Level 1 seems to be standard lines of scrimmage being drawn, with the exception of Bwipo placing that ward halfway between the top 2 turrets there on the side of VKS to get an idea of whether or not there's some very early swap shenanigans going on, sending the AD carry solo top instead. But it looks like things appear to be normal for now.
Absolutely, and I want to see the way FlyQuest comes out in this one, because if you remember back to the last time these teams played against each other with FlyQuest 3-0, that game 1 was incredibly slow and controlled. It was a big scaling draft for FlyQuest, and it was 1 kill to 0 all the way to 15 minutes into the game. So is that going to be the case? Because I know Trimby afterwards talked about how they were a little bit hesitant, they played a little bit slow, and they weren't expecting FlyQuest to be so disciplined against them. So I want to see if either FlyQuest plays more aggressive now that Bwipo's in and might try and push the tempo on Cassante, or if VKS can use some of this Galio push or the engage, the surprise engage from the support Poppy to try and make things happen early.
Nice little movements from Quad so far in the opening.
That's a flash.
Yeah, immediate flash coming out from Busio there, though. The Alistar almost always taking the Hex Flash. You still have that tool to utilize from the brushes, so Busio just trying to go for the level 1 summoner spell for the extra pressure here to give himself and Masu first to level 2, as now the headbutt pulled again for the engage. Just quick bursty trades from the duo.
And they do know, as you can see, you know, they had the ward on Raptors, and so they have the timing on Jarvan. So Busio and Masu know they've got some time to go a little bit aggressive down here while Jarvan is still clearing towards them. And then they should be able, you know, to predict the timing that he could possibly gank. So a couple more options for them. They should know around. He's on bottom side camps at the moment. Inspired is coming as well, but he is definitely clearing significantly slower so far.
And you can already see in the top lane, knowing the pathing of where Jarvan was, Bwipo's going for an early proxy. They have mid-prio, they know Jarvan's bot, they know their jungler's the CEO of full clear, so he's taking his time on the bottom side, but Bwipo just trying to get a lot of pressure, always trying to make the other team respond to what he's doing.
And speaking of pressure, Quad has been putting that on in the mid lane here early, already made Miru take his first back, forcing those early potions, utilizing the lane bully power of the Annie with all the range on the auto attacks, with that range versus melee advantage, just being able to force the Galio out of lane during the first couple
couple of levels, as we will see Disamas down here on this bottom side river, waiting for the Scuttle Crab to spawn as Inspired finishes up his full clear.
And it definitely is worth noting that Quad is running the Electrocute version of Annie, the Big Burst version. He was one of the ones that was actually a pretty big fan of the Phase Rush Annie at MSI and has played that version a lot. But into the Galio here, into this composition, he is just going for the upfront really big burst. And that Electrocute is also benefiting him in lane. Now, it means that you do give up some of the defensive options of the Phase Rush and the extra move speed there. But it means you have to be very good with when you time your shield and your own self-speed burst. Meanwhile, bottom side still remains fun down here.
Yeah, you could see the Hex Flash from the brush from Busio, but immediately Trimby's steadfast presence stops the follow-up for the rest of the engage. Nice stun though. Busio and Masu make sure they stick around long enough to get the extended trade, but Morteos doing a good job firing back into Busio as both supports are reduced down to about 400 HP.
You can see early on, FlyQuest is playing very aggressively in all three lanes. There was a bit of a strange jungle path from Inspired early. He actually did blue to Wolves to Gromp, so that's why his Wolf camp just respawned. And now he's going to Gromp. That delayed his full clear, made it so he couldn't contest the bottom crab and ended up going for the top crab. He's still the same number of camps. He was probably just guarding against some type of surprise Jarvan engage. So Inspired's playing kind of the conservative early game with the Wukong and trusting his lanes to be able to get their advantage on their own, which they're doing.
Yeah, speaking of those advantages, it is a pretty big advantage up here in the top lane, specifically 2 waves for Bwipo's Cassante over Bawal's Rumble. And there is, of course, more minions to pick up for Bawal, but that wave continues to be shoved in as the trading remains aggressive here in the mid lane. Miru getting that wave shoved up now with the Galio, that powerful wave push that you all were talking about earlier as he gets those levels. The Winds of War and the passive allowing him to clear the waves very, very swiftly, but still no junglers being able to get involved in the lanes just yet. The only summoner spells we've really seen spent are the teleport there from Miru for his early back, where he purchased the Dark Seal, has taken his second recall now, grabbing a Null Magic Mantle and the Tier 1 boots. And then bottom lane, just Busio using the aggressive Flash level 1. Summoner Spellbook, of course, on both of these supports, so cycling those summoners becomes more and more advantageous.
So far this game, FlyQuest have done a very good job of tracking the Jarvan, tracking Disamas. Now, though, they have a bit of a support roam timer, so Trimby was mid and has backed off at the moment, since Quad is actually positioning quite nicely in the very center of mid lane, up by his tower. There's no real opening for VKS, and Disamas is spending a significant amount of time waiting here for the opportunity. We will see if patience is a virtue this time around. Drops the Tibbers just for a bunch of damage here and to help clear the wave for Quad and getting a pretty big chunk onto Galio. Now, though, the crab popping up makes things spicy because Inspired just came from base.
And it's a little interesting because the Rumble has teleport, whereas Bwipo, he used it to get back to lane. So FlyQuest needs to be a little bit cautious about going in here. As long as Bwipo has eyes, they can go for play.
Tibbers sees Disamas, and Busio jumps through the wall. Disamas losing the flash there on the Jarvan is pretty important because now he's already 2/3 of the way to level 6, and he won't have flash available for the Cataclysm combo. Inspired also smiting away the Scuttle Crab down here in this bottom side river encounter means Wukong is first to level 6.
Yeah, 2 full clears, plus the next spawn of the crab gives you level 6, so he beats the Jarvan to level 6. That'll stop VKS from trying to force the dragon on this timer, so FlyQuest is probably just going to go back to standard lanes and clearing the jungle.
And I would say this being the current state of the game has been quite good for FlyQuest. They've been able to track the Jarvan so much early on. There was no early, like pre-6 ganks where he's blowing flash or anything. And as you mentioned, Inspired being able to get to the level 6 first here on Wukong is quite significant for them as a team. Now you get access to the ultimate flash possibilities here for the real threatening all-ins from the side of FlyQuest. And in 25 seconds, you have Grubs spawning onto the map. So we'll see if we do get our action then.
Exactly. 25 seconds till the Grubs. Both solo laners from both sides, and also both junglers, all have these ultimates ready to go, with the exception of Quad, who still has a little bit of the cooldown timer left on the Tibbers, as the Grubs are just now about to spawn. And you can see Quad and Inspired are around the area, but Disamas heading back out towards it as well, and Trimby is also here.
And I also feel like it's time for VKS to try and get Rumble away from this Cassante. Bwipo has built double null magic, so he's really trying to void the damage that he brings in. But FlyQuest with a surprise two-man bot while Grubs are up to try and get some damage onto Miru.
Yeah, Miru in a little bit of trouble here. Does take quite a bit of burst damage as Busio blocks his Justice Punch for the disengage. But with FlyQuest having 2 men in the bottom lane, VKS knows they have an advantage up here around the Grubs. They're already going to secure Grub number 1, but it's FlyQuest using a teleport, ready to try to take the fight. Could turn into a 4v4 here very swiftly. As now they engage, Inspired goes in. Trimby's going to be the first target. Inspired hasn't found anybody here just yet, and he has to flash away. Disamas tries to get the counter as Bwipo duels with Voal here on the top side. Trimby still alive. FlyQuest backing away. Bwipo's getting burned. The Grub still being taken by VKS. They've already found the first 2, and FlyQuest's attempt to stop it fails. Vivo Keyd Stars first objective, all 3 Grubs.
Secured for them. Honestly, the only thing, they don't even lose mid priority either. They can just walk right over, collect that wave as well. So nice little fight from them. Decent amount of damage. They were able to push Inspired off, as well as get him to blow that flash. So greatly reducing the big wombo combo possibilities there. VKS holding strong here early on.
Yeah, I feel like they may have underestimated their damage. I wasn't sure if Quad could get in to actually follow up with Inspired, but it was pretty much just the Wukong Annie that were able to participate in that fight. Masu would be a lot of their sustained damage, and he was locked bot lane with the Galio, not to mention Cassante was trapped with Rumble, so it was really just 2 people trying to stop those Grubs.
And you see the value of Rumble Ultimate having such long range here, you know, able to add a bunch of damage, and kind of also still be able to dissuade Bwipo from approaching and getting close at all. So definitely some good value there from Boal.
And speaking of value, I believe that was also Summoner Spellbook Exhaust from Trimby onto the Wukong.
That's big.
Wukong ulti gets shut down very hard by that Summoner spell, and being able to stop that Wukong Annie combo when it's like you're saying, Jat, if those are the only 2 champions going in and one of them has a pretty powerful debuff, that can be a big game changer. So FlyQuest not getting what they wanted there with the attempted punish.
Yeah, so it's likely the exhaust that probably stopped him from having the fatal damage. And this is similar early game pace to the first time these 2 teams played the game 1, but I will say that last game 1 with an Ivern jungle and the Relia top lane was much more of a scaling draft for FlyQuest, so I feel like VKS is okay with this pace of the game, because this is a situation where if they do get that one good fight and Morteus' Kaisa can end up getting a couple kills like he did yesterday against 100 Thieves, Vivo Keyd Stars would be off to the races.
Yeah, definitely has a lot of possibility of carrying there. Morteus has done really well for being a rookie here, and this is international competition, so nice stuff from him. I will say, Masu has a very good record on Corki for FlyQuest. In fact, a perfect record.
That's pretty good.
So he's also feeling pretty comfortable here, and they're about to approach, you know, their first item spikes on those AD carries. So we'll see if the Trinity Force for Masu ends up being a point where FlyQuest also then want to use that to fight off of.
So one thing that we talked about with that last series, that upper bracket final that we saw between these 2 teams, it got to 21 minutes, and there was only 1 kill on the board. We're already up to 11 minutes into this game with first blood still yet to be claimed. No dragons claimed by either side yet either, and that means that we're going with another super slow pace. It's a 400 gold lead for FlyQuest, but it's all 3 Grubs for VKS, and they're starting dragon number 1 here finally.
And I think FlyQuest might want to fight this. It'll depend on if they find a good angle, because they do have completed items on the Annie and the Cassante, but it looks like Inspired is probably just going to walk this one out without his flash, isn't willing to call and engage.
Honestly, great early game then for VKS, grabbing those first couple of neutral objectives as FlyQuest tried to contest the first, failed to find anything of value, and then strictly concede the second.
Yeah, vision control means so much. When you have priority early into the river here for VKS, and Busio walking from base means it's very difficult for FlyQuest to walk in. I think that's a good vision toggle from the observers there to show some of the difficulties. And then you have to walk in past a Poppy and a Galio here. And so VKS do a very good job, not only on the Dragon, but then they rotate their resources over to bottom lane. They get a turret plate here for Morteus. He's going to get 2 turret plates knocked off as Trimby tries to delay Busio's entry as well. And yeah, that is 2 turret plates.
Equalizing the gold in the bottom lane. The Galio's caught back up. They have 2 objectives. They're even in gold. This is a success in terms of early game for Vivo Keyd Stars.
Makes it very exciting because you know that a lot is going to come down to executions within the team fights here. when we do get our explosive team fights on single item completions, which are really rolling in now. The Trinity Force I mentioned earlier, that one is completed. And you already had the Malignance and the Canids Kalunga done here for Bwipo, which, by the way, since it's both AP solo lanes there for VKS, it is a really good rush item for Bwipo. Makes him very, very tanky. He can go in, use the shield, and then try and back off. Does get a little bit of burn damage on the way out, but will work against either side lane that he ends up matching into later.
Yep, and you can see the second Trinity Force is close to being completed for the FlyQuest side here on Inspired's. Wukong on the other end, though. Kraken Slayer done for Morteos, although now the fight quad getting caught out here. The burst is down, and so is the mid laner. Morteos with the rest of VKS. A double kill for the AD carry to start this off.
And that's the pop-off they were waiting for. When Morteos can get a couple kills, he took over the game yesterday. Once again, they find the right angle. That was a numbers advantage in the river, punishing both Quad and Busio.
And that is just Quad walking into danger there. They actually had seen the Galio walk deeper into the river preemptively. And so, yeah, you see this on a ward, Miru. So FlyQuest have vision of him. Quad is down there in kind of no man's land. It's the danger spot of mid lane. Busio tries to come save him, but it is no hesitation from Vivo Keyd Stars. It is all in. It is instant follow-up for Morteos. And we have seen this before. When Morteos Kai'Sa gets fed early on, it spells good things for VKS.
And a cataclysm into the follow-up wall slam from Trimby nearly kills off Busio. He has to spend both summoner spells just trying to get away from this. FlyQuest are playing with disrespect towards VKS. They are messing around, and they are finding out.
You can see Trimby also talking about his past experience with Inspired, trying to get some revenge. Inspired wants something back here with this Rift Herald spawning soon. They just lost a fight, don't want the game to get out of control, but they're in river looking for a fight.
Hold on, a TP's coming in from VKS. Bwipo with the flash over the wall, trying to stay alive. Disamus ready to follow here with the EQ combo. All 5 from VKS in the area now as the Herald is going to be started up, but FlyQuest is still trying to challenge. Masu fires off a couple of rockets. FlyQuest ready to full send for this. The TP's coming in as Busio's in the middle of everybody. Finds the pulverize onto 2, but Busio is going to be taken very low. Inspired finding the Cyclone onto 2 now as well. Into the fight goes Bwipo. Forward with the Pathmaker. All out, all in, all the way to VKS's heart. FlyQuest will kill all 5. And it's a quadra for Masu 7-0 Corki.
It's looking good for FlyQuest. The teleports, chat, really came up huge in this team fight.
Just when you thought FlyQuest was in danger, they punch back in a huge way. You weren't sure if FlyQuest was going to fight this, which is why Vivo Keyd Stars started, because they're trying to get the Annie to teleport in. However, FlyQuest times the engage with the teleport coming in so that Vivo Keyd Stars cannot back away. Amazing engage by Busio's Alistair, and the TPs come in to clean up.
Exactly. Both Bwipo and Quad teleport in. You saw Quad ult the front line. He got 2 of them, and then Bwipo immediately charged through, knowing that they could chase them all down, and it makes it so easy here for Masu to clean them up. The Corki is just rattling off kills there on 2-item power spike, and we're right back to the action, right back to live. That just explodes Flowers into a 3,000 gold lead for FlyQuest.
A 3,000 gold lead, plus feats of warfare first, despite VKS getting the first 2 kills, and the first turret going to FlyQuest. It's completed feats of warfare empowered boots on top of the 3K gold lead. That was a huge pendulum swing for Fly.
Absolutely, just like that, they're in control of the game, and that's how it always ends up feeling with these FlyQuest games, with their ability to capitalize. But now, VKS going for a flashless Corki.
Yeah, Masu's in danger. He already tried to use the Valkyrie, but Busio's here to save the day. Morteos is going to be killed first, but it's AD carry for AD carry. VKS get what they came for, but it takes a heavy toll. Boal versus Bwipo off on the side here at the same time. Bwipo wants a little bit more blood. He's looking for the angle, but Trimby is ready to defend his top laner. Bwipo's not done yet, as the blast cone can't be taken. Busio's ready to follow. He goes in, but he's ejected, but the rest of the team is not. Quad
takes the kill, 7-3 FlyQuest.
Okay, how much work is Busio doing in this game? Did you see that defense of his AD carry? Masu with no flash on Corki in the mid lane. Busio comes in, and he looks like the true hero there because they 2v4 are still good for one. They go 1-for-1 on AD carries, and then FlyQuest are able to make the rotation over into the jungle to supplement Whippo's aggression on that side, and it allows FlyQuest to chain together objectives. That's going to be the dragon for them. Tasamas is trying to get something out of the enemy jungle, but there's no camps there, my friend.
And Quad slowly trying to make it over to catch this wave without dying. I love how aggressive Whippo is playing here now on the Cassante. He's found a way to consistently lock himself against this Rumble, but even if he's against the Galio, he's in a good position with that huge early magic resist stack. As long as he's not in a team fight against the Kaisa, he's nearly unkillable in these 1v1 scenarios. You could see once Trimby came over, even if it was 2v1, Whippo is still pushing them both back.
Yeah, and Busio really like the performance we've seen. Now, all the supports have been rushing this particular redemption item, and even the full tanks, you know, get it, and they get to have a big impact on team fights. We'll see here, because remember our caveat for the two compositions here was going to be how big of an effect is the Poppy actually going to have in some of these team fights, you know, as far as being able to interrupt engages or get big Poppy ultimates on ejecting people. And so far, it does seem like Busio has the support advantage so far. See if he can keep that one going. He did get a decent amount of very deep wards here through the red quadrant to set up some plays for FlyQuest. See if they can catch anyone in transition.
I mean, Busio has just had an amazing split, honestly. Like, this guy has leveled up so much. He was already a good support coming into the year. We remember the near victory against Gen G at Worlds last year, but throughout all of 2025, he's leveled up a ton, and he's really just putting on a support showcase here in this first game.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to emphasize it. He's got 100% kill participation. His only death was a good support death where he valiantly protects, you know, AD carry. Well, actually, he was trying to protect Quad in the death. Actually, yeah, that was the one where Quad was caught in mid lane in no man's land.
I mean, all deaths are valiant when you think about it.
He's trying to defend his teammates.
Well, I've seen a couple solo queue ones.
Flowers. Speaking of valiant deaths, Otacon 5 seconds.
Oh, okay.
So it's coming up. The last time these two teams played, VKS tried to make an early play before Otacon, going for a fight in the bottom lane. It backfired. That's when FlyQuest really got control of the game. But now it's FlyQuest with the upper hand. So how do they pull Vivo Keyd Stars towards this Otacon to start the fight? They already have that bot lane turret on 1/3 health, so they're going to be looking to take control of this area and probably find a fight.
I absolutely love how we already just get cheers from the crowd when Otacon spawns, because they know this objective causes action. It causes blood. Ever since this thing was put into the game, it has been the site, you know, for so many games being determined. I think that teams have gotten a lot better at controlling their setups, especially when they are ahead on this thing. Teams have gotten more used to pulling Otacon into a favorable position for them. It is one of the things that is kind of weird about this objective, and not necessarily similar to others since it stops when it casts, but seems like we won't have anybody rushing headlong into some big Otacon throws.
And I think part of the reason for that is with both turrets up, it gets even more dangerous to take, because the fallback from Otacon in any type of fight into a turret just makes it kind of impossible to take that objective in a safe way.
And the other thing I'm looking at, item completions. Critically, many players are close to those second full completed item power spikes right about now. Quad already has his with the Malignance plus the Liandry's Torment. Masu is almost there because he's got Trinity Force and most of the way stacked towards the Muramana from the Manamune. Meanwhile, across the aisle, Morteos does have his Ginsus alongside the Kraken Slayer, but Miru is the one who is waiting to fully complete that second item, and I feel like whoever can try to hit those power spikes first might be the ones picking the fight, as Miru jumps out of the brush, going in after Quad, but Inspired is here to try to back up his mid laner, and it looks like nothing else is going to happen there, just a chunk on the Quad and a force of the Tibbers.
Yeah, and I also think another thing in this game is just the experience advantage for FlyQuest. We have Whippo as the richest man in the game in terms of experience, but then Inspired, Quad are both ahead of Tasamas and Morteus. So yes, they have the gold lead, but they also have an experience advantage as well. That's something that always happens in these Inspired games, is he's so diligent about making sure he's collecting his camps as fast as possible. He's always ahead of the other jungler.
Okay, so we're hitting second item power spikes critically when you're looking at Whippo having the Jack Show, when you're looking at Sundered Sky on Inspired, but it's also 3 fully completed items now for Masu. As soon as he casts a couple more spells, he'll have the Muramana Moromana alongside that Spear of Shojin here too. Yes, the tier 1 turret will fall down there in the bottom lane for the FlyQuest side, but Masu's Corki, 5-1-1, 3 fully completed items now with the Moromana all the way evolved. This guy will be the story of the team fight. If VKS can eliminate him early, they've got a great chance. If they don't, his damage is absolutely insane.
And with Flash Barrier, he's got a lot of outplay potential as well in these fights. There's summoner spells up for everyone, though. The one thing they don't have on the side of FlyQuest is a way out of a Jarvan Poppy perfectly timed wall stun, whereas Morteus would have the cleanse. But FlyQuest, it's smart to start the Dragon here rather than the Otacon because it's a much safer objective.
And they already, you can see they did their early work getting vision, getting here super early on, so all of the approach angles are lit up. And VKS know it is way too risky for them to even go mess around contesting that dragon. It is just dragon number 2 and a chem dragon at that, so not a tremendous amount of value there. They do not want to risk throwing any more money towards the side of FlyQuest either.
And at the same time, Bwipo goes top. And as we've talked about the entire game, Bwipo's build is very scary for these AP champions to deal with in the side lane. So as soon as he shows up, Miru has to back away. Despite the fact that that tier 1 turret is so close to death, he just doesn't have enough damage to take the thing all the way out. It hangs on with, that's got to be a few hundred HP up there as the rest of FlyQuest remains on the bottom side. Baron still isn't alive for another minute and change. So that means Otacon still is the great focus here for both sides as FlyQuest will once again move into the area and start removing the vision.
I think one of the biggest differences here that we're going to see may be the difference in front lines. Bwipo here is a pure tank Cassante on the front. Busio has very good positioning super far up.
They're trying to go fast.
Yeah, they're trying to just force take down the tier 1 turret, and they will find it. Otacon's still a little bit angry, making his way into the bottom lane, but now the fight breaks out. Busio goes in for the engage onto Trimby. The hero's entrance follows up, but it's not gonna matter. The Poppy's already down. Busio's still alive, and FlyQuest pushes forward. Bwipo goes all out. He's in the middle of 3, but he is not done. He finds the knockback onto the wall, and it's 2 kills over to FlyQuest, 3 kills over to FlyQuest, and they want even more. Busio finally dies as Inspired continues the chase. Morteus wants to get one back with the Acathian Rain, but the only thing falling are VKS bodies. Masu's on a killing spree, and FlyQuest gets so many.
And I think it's on perfect display there. The difference in front lines. Busio just goes straight in and a really nice path up by Gromp. As the tower is going down and the teleports are coming in, he engages the fight, and Bwipo immediately follows up too, which makes it very easy for the FlyQuest backline to just murder the rest of these VKS champions, and FlyQuest reward will be the Otacon afterwards. You thought that experience advantage was good now. They're gonna get some extra flowers and boost the power of those petals.
Big swing in the game for FlyQuest, 9 additional petals with anti-team compositions as well. The team that goes first often wins. The fast rush on the turret, I think, caught Vivo Keyd Stars off guard and means Miru had to back away immediately. And then watch how Masu is untouched here because of the front-to-back nature of the way FlyQuest initiated.
Yeah, very nice stuff there. You can tell Busio on the Alistar, he could just go for the flash play onto Trimby's Poppy. And since he has Alistar ultimate, he just pops it and he's way more durable on the front line. As we say, chasing through rest. He does die in the end. It is in sacrifice. After he dies, they also get the flash off of the Kaisa, which is very valuable. Plus, they end up still killing the Galio here. So now we'll take a look at the movement of your resources here for FlyQuest over to the Baron.
Plus, Kobe, Busio directly answered your question about the value of Keeper's Verdict. Trimby was channeling the ulti as Busio flashed forward for the Pulverize, interrupted it, and completely zeroed it out.
Yep, and then they just delete him off the map. So very big stuff there. And now you're sitting with 8 kills on Masu, and the gold lead just getting even bigger on him. Plus, Inspired, the most valuable player of the entirety of the LTA.
They're going for it.
Quad the flash engage. Desamis is your target. Inspired ready to jump over the wall with the clone. Second stun coming in from Quad and a bonk over the head. Jarvan's dead. FlyQuest 12 kills to 4. And now with the enemy jungler dead, the main engage out of the picture. They're going to continue going in even more. Busio headbutt pulled there onto Bawal, but the follow-up isn't close enough. Inspired wants the Cyclone. Finds it, but again, no follow-up. Morteus has the killer instinct over the wall, and Quad takes him out. Trimby's about to die now, too. Masu with a bounce forward. The big one hits, but he needs one more shot, and he finds it. Masu with yet another kill. FlyQuest merciless with their advantage.
They are so strong right now, and they are pressing this advantage advantage. They're going to look to take probably 2 inhibitors, maybe even more.
First inhibitor turret is down. First inhibitor down here in the bottom lane is your target. Miru tries to get away. Justice Punch interrupted. Quad doing so much damage alongside Masu. Miru's already out of the picture. Disamus respawns to drop the Cataclysm, but he can't find a kill. Boal drops again. FlyQuest have made their way onto the Nexus turrets. VKS are scrambling, but they cannot find any sort of a response. The first Nexus turret is already down, and so is the second inhibitor. FlyQuest continues to push. Trimby steps up to try to stop them. Morteos is back alive, but Trimby is dead. Disamus will join him. A double kill over to Masu. Morteos dies too. FlyQuest in this game so swiftly. 19-4. They'll slam game 1.
And just like that, they end the game. 12 kills for Masu. What an explosive ending.
And Masu will keep his undefeated Corki record alive, now 8-0. FlyQuest after game number 1, really turning it up.